Morning. Sorry about the delay. I'm having some technical difficulties. But it's good to be finally here, present with everyone. Welcome to everyone in the Hangout. Namaste. Everyone that's joining via YouTube. If you're in the Hangout, please keep the microphone muted unless you want to speak when it feels natural. Sadhguru Sri Rujijiki Jai. Sadhguru Sri Anantajiki Jai. Sangajiki Jai. So I'm reading from The Transparency of Things, Contemplating the Nature of Experience by Rupert Spira. And I usually read the summary on the back for anyone that's new, and it's quite self-explanatory. Can everyone hear me, by the way? Good. The purpose of Rupert Spira's book is to look clearly and simply at the nature of experience, without any attempt to change it. A series of contemplations directly to see that our essential nature is neither a body nor a mind. It is the conscious presence that is aware of this current experience. As such, it is nothing that can be experienced as an object, and yet it is undeniably present. However, these contemplations go much further than this. As we take our stand knowing as this conscious presence that we always already are. Sorry about this, that's the volume from the YouTube. I've got to turn that off. However, these contemplations go much further than this. As we take our stand knowingly as this conscious presence that we always already are, and reconsider the objects of the body, mind and world we find that they do not simply appear to this presence, they appear within it. And further exploration reveals that they do not simply appear within this presence, but as this presence. Finally, we are led to see that it is in fact this very presence itself that takes the shape of our experience from moment to moment, whilst always remaining only itself. We see that our experience is and has only ever been one seamless totality with no separate entities, objects or parts anywhere to be found. Love in search of itself. What is the value and function of spiritual seeking? The purpose of seeking at the level of the body is to bring about happiness, and at the level of the mind, to bring about understanding. Inherent in seeking, therefore, is the feeling and the belief that happiness and understanding are not already present, and that they can be brought about through the search. In other words, happiness and understanding are construed as intermittent states that can be attained at some future time as a result of an activity, and by implication, that can be lost. When a desire is fulfilled, happiness is experienced. When a question is answered, understanding is revealed. We presume that it was the fulfillment of the desire that produced the happiness, and the answering of the question that brought about the understanding. However, it is the end of the desire, not its fulfillment, which reveals the underlying, ever-present happiness. And it is the dissolution of the question, rather than its answer, that reveals the understanding that lies behind the mind's activity. Desire at the level of the body and seeking at the level of the mind are, in most cases, forms of agitation. They are modulations of a sense of lack, a sense that something is not right, that something needs to be secured or known. This agitation is an activity within consciousness and is an expression of consciousness. Everything, literally everything, takes place within consciousness and is an expression of it. This agitation could be described as the activity whereby consciousness colours itself in such a way that it seems to obscure itself from itself. The result is the thought and feeling that something is missing. It is as if consciousness was saying to itself, I am not present. I'm not experiencing myself. I do not know myself. However, this very thought appears in consciousness and is itself an expression of consciousness. That something that is supposed to be missing is consciousness itself. The I that is experiencing the feeling I am not experiencing myself, and the I that is thinking the thought I do not know myself, is already that one that seems not to be experienced or known. Although consciousness is in fact always, only, ever experiencing itself, it veils itself from itself and therefore feels that it is not present. In fact, consciousness is still only experiencing itself, even during the appearance of the feeling that something is missing. That very feeling is itself still the experience of consciousness knowing itself. However, consciousness does not know this, so to speak. It disguises itself, it veils itself, and hence the search for itself begins. There's a reflection here that doesn't really seem to make sense. The consciousness can veil itself in itself. It really doesn't seem to make sense. All experience only seems to be the revelation of it, of this. From the thought that says I'm not in awareness. I've lost awareness. And that thought is illuminated or an expression of that which is seeming to be veiled. So there's no escape. No escape from this. Only evidence. And even if you don't think it is, or don't feel it is, found as a result of an activity in the body, and a state called understanding that can be found as a result of an activity in the mind. Happiness and understanding are construed as something other than consciousness, something that has objective qualities, something that is not always present, something that can be bound. However, the happiness and the understanding that are desired and sought are themselves simply the experience of consciousness knowing itself knowingly. That is what happiness and understanding are. The agitation, called seeking, veils the inherent happiness and understanding. It does not produce it. When consciousness fails or forgets itself, it conceives of itself as an experience of happiness in the body and or an experience of understanding in the mind. It then sets about searching for them both. However, happiness is not an experience in the body, and understanding is not an experience in the mind. Happiness, it is the particular name consciousness gives itself when it experiences itself at the end of a desire. Likewise, understanding is another name for consciousness. Thought. Both happiness and understanding are already present as consciousness itself prior to seeking, rather than as a result of it. Seeking itself is simply the name and the shape that consciousness takes as it sets out in search of itself. And happiness and understanding are the experience of consciousness recognizing itself at the end of that search. Consciousness never goes anywhere or becomes anything other than itself. Even during the apparent process of forgetting, searching, and finding, presence is never lost and never found. It is ever present. The activities of forgetting, searching, and finding are all equally modes of its own being, in which it is always only experiencing itself in changing names and forms. Presence is never lost and never found. It's ever present. Which means it's no one's to take credit, blame for, rather managing a state of presence, managing to reach a state of eternal presence, or to blame for not being able to achieve it. It just is. It's such grace, beautiful grace. If anyone has anything that they wish to share after a period of silence, and it feels natural to do so, then by all means feel free. If there's nothing, you're just happy to be in this silence and listen to reading, that's fine too. I just wanted to make sure that everyone feels that it's okay. It's okay to share or express as you wish. I was just checking YouTube comments and it said that somebody couldn't see me in the Hangout. Can you see me now? I think it was Petra. Oh, sorry, Mukti. Mukti now, isn't it?
I have something to share.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you were reading about consciousness finding itself, I was seeing that it's like an amazing game of hide and seek. That this plays with itself, and it's nobody who hides. It's the play of it's hiding itself. It's really hard to talk about, but it's like, and when seen from this, it seemed that the hiding never really happened. It was just a play within itself of hiding. And there feels like there's a great beauty in that, but I don't know why that is. It does feel like a divine hide and seek game. Because even the hiding is itself. It just seems like it's not. See from here when that separation comes up, it seemed very quickly that it's itself feeling separated. Yeah, and it feels like there's someone being separated, but it's not. And it's amazing because it feels so convincing that it's someone being separated. But it's just the appearance of this being separate. And then that longing to find itself again. And it feels like the person's trying to find it. But the amazing illusion is the person's trying to find something for itself in the future when it's only just always this.
Thank you.
Can I share something too?
Please do. Is that Nelly? Oh, Petra.
No,
Sorry.
it's Ambika now.
Ambika. Sorry, I thought it was Mukti. I got it wrong. Ambika.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's funny that yesterday Father said to me that this story with the mountain, and that the master is on the mountain and the disciple is on the ground, and that the discovery is that there is no mountain, and it's like all of these things, all of these thoughts, all of these feelings and body sensations. It's like trying to convince you that there is somebody doing something, or getting somewhere. Like now something really happening to you. Now you're really getting somewhere. When nothing really happens to anyone, it's always just the same. So that was what was coming up.
Thank you, Ambika. Sorry I got your name wrong.
Can I share something? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just sat here seeing how nothing can be lost, like ever. It doesn't make sense because I can get these thoughts of resistance towards action and doing when doing is part of consciousness. In the sense that if I'm doing something, I'm going to lose this. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter what doing goes on or doesn't go on. It's impossible. It all happens in this consciousness. And that game of the lost that's then seeking and finding, just beautiful to embrace it as part of consciousness, because I can sometimes feel agitated when I listen to lots of people's spiritual stories, and I just want I want them to do self-inquiry or something, and I sit with my own agitation because it's my own agitation essentially, and it's like it doesn't matter, it makes no sense who's realized and who isn't realized and what's lost and what's gained. None of that, just none of that makes sense. And it appears it's part of the play, and it doesn't matter. It's like there is no one to know anything. And that's really peaceful. Yeah. It's like the known can't be unknown. It's always there, whether or not it's known or not. It doesn't make sense. It's like irrelevant. Yeah. So that's kind of what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Nelly. There was something you said actually, Nelly, that prompted me to contemplate. The known can't be unknown. I've heard it expressed before that what we or what the person thinks is an object that is known outside of oneself is actually only this knowing, And I think there are other terms that are used as well: knowing, awareness, consciousness, sometimes used interchangeably, certainly by Rupert. An example is if you take an object such as what we would label the laptop or table. The mind says that that is outside, existing independently of me, consciousness or awareness, or this knowing inside here. But I don't ever find two things. And if you lose the label object, and just go to the experience, there's only this. You can break it down: visual perception, sensation. But then even if you lose them labels, and it's really just rest with the experience. There's only this experience of knowing. There is two experiences. Experiences a me knowing, aware, and object. And this knowing presence, aware presence, can't really, it's not divided, even if we acknowledge or recognize the different names of objects, the apparent multiplicity of what the mind would call separate objects. That doesn't divide up this experience, but this whole experience of knowing or awareness. Doesn't divide it up. forgot where I got to now. We invest an object with the capacity to produce happiness or peace, and then pursue it. Once the desired object is obtained, we briefly feel happiness and mistakenly suppose that it was the object that gave rise to it. However, it was the acquisition of the object that led to the end of the desire, not to the fulfillment of the desire. The true desire was for happiness, not for the object. The object leads to the end of the desire, not to happiness. However, the end of the desire is the end of the mind's agitation. This agitation is nothing other than consciousness thinking and feeling that the happiness and peace that are inherent in itself are not present, and as a result, searching for them elsewhere. The cessation of the agitation is the end of the search. Consciousness no longer projects the thought and feeling, I am not present, and therefore need to find myself somewhere else. It withdraws this projection, and as a result experiences itself as it is, tastes itself, has a glimpse of itself. With the withdrawal of this projection, our longing is taken back to its source. Happiness and peace are already present in the longing, but they are veiled by its seeking for an object. As soon as longing is relieved of its objectivity, it is revealed as happiness and peace itself. Of course, consciousness is always, only, ever itself. It never leaves itself. Where could it go? It had just veiled itself with desire, with the thought and feeling, I need something else in order to be happy. Happiness is not an experience that consciousness has. It is what consciousness is. That is why joy is said to be causeless. Consciousness experiences itself as this happiness or peace every time it stops escaping from itself through desire or fear. It is for this reason that the desire for happiness is universal. It is inherent in the consciousness that is each one of us. Happiness is the state, happiness is the taste of consciousness, knowing itself knowingly. Once we see clearly that it is the ending of desire, rather than its fulfillment, that reveals the inherent happiness, we no longer search for an object to make us happy. We may desire an object with which to express happiness, but this happiness is not dependent on the object. Happiness cannot have a cause. Only unhappiness can have a cause. In fact, unhappiness always has a cause, and that cause is always an object. Even the term unhappiness contains within it the knowledge that unhappiness is somehow the veiling of happiness, that happiness is contained within it. However, we never describe happiness as unmisery. Happiness is not the opposite of unhappiness. It is present behind and within all the happy and unhappy states of the mind and the body. Happiness is not relative. It does not come and go any more than the sky comes and goes. The fact that it seems to appear and disappear is obviously true on the relative level, just as the sky seems to appear and disappear. However, that does not make it absolutely true. Happiness, like beauty and love, is absolute, not relative. They are all inherent in consciousness, and as such they do not change or disappear. They are the experience of consciousness knowing itself knowingly. When the mind dissolves at the end of a thought, consciousness recognizes itself, and this recognition is called understanding. When the body dissolves at the end of a bodily sensation, consciousness recognizes itself, and this recognition is called happiness or love. When the world dissolves at the end of a perception, consciousness recognizes itself, and this recognition is called beauty. The words understanding, happiness, love, and beauty are all synonyms for consciousness, for I. They do not refer to objects. Peace is beyond the mind. Joy is uncaused. Beauty has no form. Love is unconditional. And understanding knows no object. There is peace, joy, beauty, love, and understanding, and these are all experiences of the transparent, luminous, empty knowingness of presence. They are all one thing that has or knows no opposite. They are unconditional. All unhappy states are only this consciousness forgetting itself. They are simply the names we give to consciousness when it fails to recognize itself, or rather for the belief and feeling that consciousness entertains that it is not already directly knowing itself. They are imaginary as states, but real as consciousness. Everything ultimately comes from this unconditional love. Thanks for joining the broadcast today. And for sharing presence with me. It's been very beautiful. Thanks everyone in the hangout. Ambika, oh, I forget your name now. Thanks Adam, thanks Priya. Everyone joining via YouTube. Sadhguru Sri Muchijiki Jai. Sadhguru Sri Anantajiki Jai. Sangha Ji Ki Jai.